Good evening and welcome back to the question and answer series for Anash.org. We got a question this week that if you are permitted to eat fleischiks in the 9 days, if you make a siyum masechta. Because some people say that the Lubavitch minig is not to eat meat and wine even though that you make a siyum. The answer is like this. We know that the Rebbe Rashab used to make a siyum and not necessarily eat meat. But that doesn't mean that you cannot eat meat and it's also to eat meat, or that's the minig. The Rebbe Rashab used to have this minig, or he used to, he didn't eat necessarily meat. But in Shulchan Aruch, it says that if somebody makes a siyum masechta, he's permitted to eat meat. So if you have somebody who made a siyum and you want to eat meat, you could eat meat. There's no minig. I never saw any source that the Chabad is a minig not to eat meat. The Rebbe Rashab did that. That's so, but we don't see anywhere that that's the minig. And not even that. I know that people told me that in Camp Gan Yisrael, they used to make a siyum, and the whole camp used to eat meat. So therefore, you could make a siyum and eat meat. Now, how long could you eat meat? That means, could you make a siyum? Is it till Erev Tisha B'Av, or you should stop earlier? Now, Pashtus Halacha, you can make a siyum till Erev, that means till the day after, before Tisha B'Av, till Erev Tisha B'Av. But the Mungarum brings the Gabay Yoldas, a person which had a baby, so she's permitted to eat meat, because that gives her strength and gives strength for the baby afterwards. She could eat meat. So the Mungarum writes that she should only eat meat till Zayin of, the 7th day of Av. So some poskim say that he then, by same thing will go also by siyum, that you shouldn't eat meat more than Zayin of. Now over here, I think it's kedai taka not to make a siyum after 7th day of Av. That means after Zayin of, and eat meat. Of course, you should make a siyum every day, and like the Rebbe writes, you should make a siyum even on Tisha B'Av and afterwards till Chamisha Usa B'Av. But eating meat, since at least we know that the Rebbe Rashab had such a minig, and the Mungavrum says that after Zayin of is more stricter, so therefore you should make a siyum only till Zayin of, and after Zayin of you should make a siyum without eating meat. Now, what is considered a siyum? What do you need to do? I wrote a whole article on Yisrael that basically a masechta, of course, that's a siyum masechta, is a siyum of a Sefer Mishnayos, that means a Seider Zru Moed. Although some poskim say that you could make even a siyum Mishnayos al Mo Masechta, but they say that only if you learn it well with Mefarshim. Al Kapurim, once on a Seider of Mishnayos, Seider Zru Moed, one of these, for sure, you could make a siyum and eat meat. Some say other books also that say somebody finishes Sefer HaZoyer, streiten some poskim that you could eat, or you finish Sefer of Tanakh, which you learn good, you could also make a siyum. So that should be basically the guidance, that you finish a Masechta, you finish a Seider of Mishnayos, or a Sefer of book of Tanakh. When you learned it well, you can make a siyum on that. But the poskim say that that's only if you learn and you finish it in the 9 days. Or you could start in the 9 days and finish it on the 9 days. That's also a siyum. But if you finished the Masechta or the book earlier and you only left a small piece, just you should be able to finish it on the 9 days in order to eat meat, this you shouldn't do. So if you came across to finish a Masechta in the 9 days, or you started learning something and it comes out to finish in the Masechta, let's say you take a Masechta which is 30 dafim, pages, and you started 30 days before the 9 days, that's also fine. But not finishing it before and basically keeping it just for a siyam for the 9 days. Another question came in. My children are coming home from camp on Sunday. May I wash their laundry in the 9 days? That's the first question. Second question, can you wash towels that was used on Shabbos Chazon and it smells? The answer is, on both questions, you cannot wash laundry even if your children came home on Sunday. And even it smells. If it has a big smell, you buy by Costco a good garbage bag which has good closures, and you close it and you put it away so you won't smell it. But that's not a heter to wash laundry in the 9 days. If it got a stain, or it became so dirty that if you're not going to wash it, you're going to lose it. That means it's gonna become kalia totally. So that's something else. If you're going to lose it totally, then you can wash it, because that's called a dover uvat. But if it's not going to get ruined all the way, it is only that it has a bad smell, so therefore you cannot wash it in regularly. Let's see, do it now. If it comes home and it's wet because of sweat, you could put it into the dry. That should dry it, but you cannot wash it because washing in the 9 days is asur. Question: my wife works at a photo album designer. Is she allowed buying new albums for people during the 9 days? Answer is no, because in the 9 days you cannot buy only things which you need to use in the 9 days. Utensils and that kind of stuff. As I mentioned last week, even a washer dried if you need it for the 9 days, an air conditioner, a refrigerator. But things which you don't need in the 9 days, and only you want to buy it because now you have time, you cannot buy in the 9 days. Masamatan in the 9 days, just like that, it's not permissible. Question: I forgot to wear my washed clothing before the 9 days. Can I wear them on Shabbos instead? Or is it a problem of Meichel Meshabbos Lachal? A very nice question. Before the 9 days, people usually take their clothing and they put it on, as we mentioned last week, for a couple of minutes, and then they could use it in the 9 days. If it wasn't used before the 9 days, you cannot use it in the 9 days. For Shabbos, you could basically put on clothing which was washed, even though if you didn't use it before the 9 days. Now the question is, if somebody forgot to do this whole thing and put on shirts, etc., before the 9 days, but now comes Shabbos. Now the question is not actual this year, because now we don't have any Shabbos, but it's a question which I got before Shabbos. Now comes Shabbos, and he wants to know if he could basically put on in Shabbos every 50 minutes a different shirt, in order he should have for the next couple of days shirts. Now that's for sure. If he puts on a shirt Erev Shabbos, and when he goes to sleep he takes it off, and in the morning he puts on another shirt and he uses it till afternoon, and afternoon he takes it off and he takes a nap, and after he wakes up from the nap he puts on a third shirt, that l'choladies there's no problem, because since he took off his shirt because he's sleeping, so therefore once he wakes up he could basically put on a new shirt, no problem. But if it's not the case, he's a Chassidish Yid, he doesn't take a nap Shabbos afternoon, he wants to change, after the Suda shirt, and half an hour afterwards another shirt. So you putting it on because you want to have a shirt which you'll be able to use on Sunday and Monday. Now some poskim say you cannot do that, because it's Meichen Meshabbos Lachal. when you're putting it on in order, the whole concept, the whole reason why you're putting it on is only that you should be able to use it Sunday and Monday. So therefore you are meichen hachon m'Shabbos l'chol. That's the Ben Ish Chai has a whole tshuva on it, and he does not permit it. And some other poskim also say that you cannot do it. Other poskim say it is permitted. I personally feel also like this poskim that it is permitted, because after all, he's wearing it now, so he's using it now. Meichen m'Shabbos l'chol is only when basically you are doing something only for Sunday. But over here, after all, I am using it now. I don't need it that much for Shabbos, but suppose I'm using it. I'm using it also for Shabbos. So I feel personally like the poskim say that you could do it, but after all, other poskim say you shouldn't do it. So again, you should do, like I mentioned before, change it in the morning when you wake up, and if you take a nap, change it in the afternoon too. But if not, if he needs to change it, he needs to have some, he has nothing to wear in the middle of the week and he has to do it. He cannot be without, we want to share the next couple of days. After all, as I mentioned before, other poskim say you could do it. But if it's not that important, it's kedai to be machmer, like the other poskim, that you should be machmer. Fasting this year on Tisha B'Av in the era of Corona. So, as I wrote in my paper before Shavuos B'Tamas, the thing is like this. Anyone which is sick, bepoil now during Tisha B'Av, he should not fast. A person which is already sick, he's in bed or he has the symptoms and he's sick, he doesn't need to fast on Tisha B'Av, because he has to be strong in order to fight the virus. Anyone who had the virus and he is basically weak, still weak, and he feels he cannot fast, he could also eat. I know somebody asked me before Shavuos B'Tamas if he could fast. He feels he could fast, so says, okay, if you feel you could fast, fast. And he told me when it came Shavuos B'Tamas 12 o'clock, he felt he's almost collapsing, and then he had to eat. So if you feel that you need to eat, since you're still weak from the virus, you should eat, you could eat. A person which does not have the virus, has no symptoms, has no nothing, so he has to fast. He and she has to fast. She should drink a lot of water before Tisha B'Av and stay in a cool room and stay even in bed as much as possible, and he should fast. There's no reason that you should not fast on Tisha B'Av because you're afraid maybe you're going to get the virus and the immune system is weak. A person which has no symptom and is a well guy, he should fast, and he has to fast Tisha B'Av, and he should make all kind of arrangements beforehand that he should be comfortable and shouldn't go out, and he should fast regularly on Tisha B'Av. This year Tisha B'Av is on Thursday. So the question is, what are we allowed to do Motzi Tisha B'Av this year? The answer is like this. Since it's Thursday and it's before Shabbos, so eating meat, drinking wine, hearing music, all of these are not permitted the Motzi Tisha B'Av. Washing clothing, the poskim say lekitchila, if it's possible, you wait till in the morning. You don't wash at night. If it's not possible, in the bungalow colonies, in the camps, in the public places, which there is 5 machines for 60, 70, 100 people, and it's not possible everybody should wash only Erev Shabbos, so you have to start washing Matzah Tisha B'Av. You could wash Matzah Tisha B'Av what you need for Shabbos. What you don't need for Shabbos, you don't wash Matzah Tisha B'Av. What you do need for Shabbos, you could wash Thursday night. But Friday morning already, you could wash everything and anything, even though which you need for Shabbos. So again, meat, music, and wine, you do not do Motzei Tisha B'Av. The same will go also to taking a shower. If you are planning to take a shower Erev Shabbos tomorrow, and you can't take a shower tomorrow, you don't take it Motzei Tisha B'Av. Washing laundry, if you could wait till Friday morning, then you could wash everything, even what you don't need for Shabbos. If you have to wash beforehand, because there is a lot of people and you don't have enough machines, or you have a lot of laundry and you need them for Shabbos, then you could wash them also Motzei Tisha B'Av too. You could start washing Motzei Tisha B'Av. I'm getting guests one night in the 9 days, and I have no clean linen. Am I permitted to wash linen for my guest which is coming? The answer is, as I mentioned last week, if a person does not have any clothing, everything is dirty, he could wash one dress or one suit, whatever, which he needs on a daily basis. So over here, you have no linen to give for a person. A person cannot use somebody else's linen. So if he comes and you don't have anything to wash, you could only wash this linen which you have to give for him, because that's the only thing which goes into the category of Misha Einle Shim Beget. So you could wash that linen, and nothing else could go in that machine. Next question. I'm being behind the minyan, and the chazan is saying Kaddish. Am I obligated to stop davening and answer? If I'm holding in a place where I could answer Amen. So let me phrase the question. It wasn't written too well, but akaponam, the question is like this. Somebody he finishes davening, or he's in the middle of davening, or saying Tilam, or even Pesik de Zimra, which he could basically answer Uman and Kaddish. Is he permitted to daven and just answer Uman when he hears where he needs to answer, or he has to stop? Let's say, for instance, say here's Kaddish. Does he need to stop Kaddish and hear till the end of Kaddish and answer Uman, or he could daven further where he holds and answer Kaddish? Since he's permitted to answer Uman, he will answer it, but he could still daven further. Now this question is a very good question. The Alter Rebbe writes in Shulchan Aruch Simon Kif Dalet, Sif Hai, that a person is holding in the middle of Shmoyne Esrei, and he hears Kaddish, Kedisha, Borchi. What should he do? So the Alter Rebbe says that if he hears, for instance, Kaddish, you stop davening Shemon Esrei, and you listen to Kaddish till after V'imri Umain. So basically, you shouldn't say further the davening, and you should stop and listen. Now, some people say that means whenever the Chazan says Kaddish, automatically you have to stop, and you cannot say further where you're holding when the Chazan is saying Kaddish. But I think it's not the correct way to learn Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe talks when you're in the middle of Shemon Esrei. So you cannot answer Kaddish, Baruch, and Kedusha. Now you want to be Yoitz as Shemai Koine. Shemai Koine means listening. So by listening, it is as if you said it. So you listen to Kaddish, you cannot say Oman, it's in the middle of Shemon Esrei, but by listening, saying the Shlich Tzibah say Kaddish, that's as if you heard what he said, and it's as if you answered Oman. Although you cannot answer Oman, Shemai Koine is not necessarily if you answer Oman. A person can be Yoitze, a bruch of somebody else, even though he didn't answer Oman. The only thing that he listened and he heard the whole bracha, that's as if he said it. So when you hold the middle of Shemon Esrei, you cannot say Umain. Then you have to be quiet and listen what the Shlich Tzibah say, because that's Shemai Koine. you are quiet and listening what somebody else is saying, and it's as if you said. But if you are in a place which you could basically answer umain, so you could still daven further and say Tillam where you're up to, and whenever you'll have to answer umain, you can answer umain. Because now you're not yoytze b'keshmai koine. Now you're listening and hearing what the Shlich Tzibur says, and you answer umain what he says. So it's not you have to hear every word in order you should be able to be yoytze shmai koine. So therefore you could keep on saying if it's Psik de Zimra, if it's Tillam or whatever it is. Now, am I mechiv to answer umain? That's the second question. Yes, you are mechiv to answer umain. Like the Rebbe writes in a letter that according to us, that we say one bracha on Hanochas Tvil. We don't say two brachas like other people on the Shaliyat and on the Shalosh. So the Rebbe writes, if somebody puts on the Shaliyat and he hears a bracha or Kaddish, so the Alter Rebbe writes that he's permitted to answer umain, and then he has to make a second bracha on the Shalosh. So a person puts on a Shaliyat and hears Kaddish, he answers umain, and then he puts on the Shalosh and makes a second bracha, although usually we don't make a second bracha, but over here, since he made a hefsek, he makes a second bracha. Zug the Rebbe in the letter that since the Alter Rebbe says you are permitted to say umain, whenever you are permitted to say umain, you are mechiv to say umain. So therefore, in our case, you could daven further Psik de Zimra, or you could daven further saying Tillam, but you will have to answer umain, because whenever you hear a bracha and you could answer umain, you have to answer umain. Okay, we'll stop here and join us next week in Me'ez Hashem and send in your questions to inbox@Anash.org. Thank you and good night, and the Rebbe should helfen as these days should turn and his hapchi, lesus, and the simcha and Tisha B'Av should be a big yontav in Me'ez Hashem.